name is Arthanox, and this is Cloaked Mysteries. For centuries, we've believed that the greatest beings to ever walk the earth were the dinosaurs. But what if I told you that deep beneath the ocean's surface once lived creatures far more colossal? Predators so powerful they would make the Tyrannosaurus look like a mere reptile? Today, you'll descend with me into the abyss of time where Leviathan and Megalodon fought a battle that redefined the meaning of fear. The ancient seas hid more than fossils. They preserved a history of domination. Beings that ruled with absolute power, shaping the balance of the oceans with their jaws and teeth. They weren't just animals, they were living forces of nature, predators that inspired myth and legend. And though millions of years divide us from them, something in our essence still recognizes their presence. A primitive instinct awakens when we stare into the sea and feel that something down there still watches back. The name Leviathan comes from scripture, a sea monster that even gods dared not confront. And, ironically, science found it not in the pages of the Bible, but buried in the rocks of the Peruvian desert. While Megalodon devoured the deep, the Leviathan crushed whales with divine strength. Two titans, two empires. One built on flesh and teeth, the other on intelligence and raw brutality. And the most terrifying truth? They lived in the same ocean at the same time. Prepare yourself. The story you're about to hear is real and far more terrifying than fiction. We'll dive into a world where a single bite could silence the sea. Where every shadow beneath the waves hid a predator beyond imagination. Welcome to the reign of Leviathan melvillei, the true king of the ancient seas. In 2008, beneath the arid sands of Ica, Peru, something emerged that would challenge everything we thought we knew about the ancient oceans. Just 35 kilometers from the city, researchers uncovered a colossal skull with teeth so large they seemed born of legend. The remains rested within the Pisco Formation, a natural graveyard of Miocene marine life. No one knew at that moment that they were staring at a predator capable of rivaling Megalodon itself. The silence of the desert hid the forgotten roar of the ocean's true monster. The fossil was sent to the Natural History Museum of Lima, where Belgian paleontologist Olivier Lambert began a meticulous study. The first results were shocking. The skull belonged to no known species. It was an extinct giant sperm whale that lived more than 12 million years ago. A marine mammal whose proportions eclipsed every predator ever known. Lambert realized this was not merely a discovery, it was the rebirth of a legend. In 2010, the scientific world would hear a name that would echo through the ages: Leviathan melvillei. Leviathan, inspired by the biblical monster, and melvillei, in honor of Herman Melville, author of Moby Dick. But this Leviathan didn't hunt metaphors, it hunted whales. With a 3-meter skull and 36-centimeter teeth, it was a predator that even the giant sharks would fear. Its skull, its jaws, and its fossilized gaze told a story of absolute power. For comparison, the teeth of a Tyrannosaurus rex reached only about 30 centimeters. Meaning, the so-called king of dinosaurs would lose his throne beside this marine colossus. The Leviathan had the largest predatory dentition ever found on Earth, a true engine of destruction. Its conical teeth weren't just made to slice flesh, they were made to crush bone, to rip entire creatures apart. Every bite was a sentence. Every impact, a thunderous echo beneath the waves. Scientists estimate that the Leviathan stretched between 13 and 20 meters, weighing more than 50 tons. And unlike sharks, it wasn't driven by blind instinct but by intelligence and strategy. A social mammal, much like modern sperm whales, only far deadlier. A predator fully aware of its own strength, striking with surgical precision. In the seas of the Miocene, it was the living embodiment of silent fury. Each fragment of that skull revealed more than bone, it revealed terror itself. The shape of the jaws, the symmetry of the teeth, the curves of the bone, all designed for lethal efficiency. This wasn't a hunter by chance, it was a weapon perfected by nature to rule. And when science unearthed it from the rock, the modern world came face to face with something that looked as if it had risen straight from the abyss. The Leviathan had awakened, and the ocean would never be the same again. In the dark waters of the Miocene seas, where sunlight barely pierced the depths, Leviathan melvillei ruled as the ultimate predator. Its jaws, lined with rows of razor-sharp conical teeth, could crush both bone and flesh in a single devastating strike. Scientists estimate that its bite force exceeded 100,000 newtons, enough to shatter a skull like fragile glass. That unimaginable power, fused with mammalian intelligence, made it an almost flawless killing machine. It was the perfect balance between raw brutality and calculated precision. Unlike modern sperm whales, which bear teeth only on the lower jaw, Leviathan possessed them on both. This gave it the ability to grip and hold massive prey, preventing even the slightest chance of escape. When it bit, it didn't merely tear it anchored, immobilized, and dismantled its victim with surgical control. Every attack was planned, executed with cold efficiency and terrifying purpose. Nothing escaped its jaws, nothing survived its embrace of death. Fossils reveal that its skull was nearly the size of a small car, and its jaw could open in a terrifying arc capable of swallowing a whale's head whole. When it rammed into its prey, the impact was like two trucks colliding at full speed. The pressure of the ocean amplified each movement, turning every strike into an unstoppable force. The Leviathan didn't need to hunt constantly. One kill could feed it for weeks. But hunger, for this beast, was more than survival, it was instinct. While sharks hunted by reflex and flow, the Leviathan hunted through awareness. It heard the ocean, decoded vibrations, and sensed distant movements through echolocation. From kilometers away, it could trace whales or dolphins in the vast, dark expanse. Then, with silent precision, it would ascend, erupting from the shadows in a storm of muscle and fury. The sea would turn red in seconds, then fall eerily silent again. It was a predator that conquered not only by strength, but by mind. Its enormous body moved with grace. Its gaze carried intelligence, a chilling recognition of fear in its prey. Some evidence suggests it even hunted in small coordinated groups, an almost inconceivable behavior for its time. While Megalodon relied on surprise, Leviathan relied on strategy. That difference made it more than dangerous, it made it unpredictable. The Miocene seas belonged to it, and it knew it. Every dive was a hunt, every echo an invitation to kill. Leviathan left behind no tracks, only scars and fossils and whispers in the deep. It was a living shadow, a reminder that nature can be both intelligent and cruel. The perfect predator existed, and its name still echoes through the forgotten depths of the earth. Imagine the oceans 12 million years ago, vast, endless, and uncharted. In the same waters where Leviathan hunted whales, another monster moved silently through the deep, the Megalodon. A colossal shark, armed with rows of teeth the size of hunting knives, honed to a lethal edge. It had no rivals until a new predator rose from the abyss, bearing even larger teeth and a far deadlier mind. The encounter of these two titans would mark the very peak of prehistoric terror. Both measured around 20 meters in length, weighing over 50 tons, ruling nearby territories with absolute dominance. Leviathan preferred warmer, shallower seas, while Megalodon roamed the deeper and wider oceans. For millions of years, their hunting grounds overlapped, creating the perfect stage for an inevitable confrontation. No fossil record confirms their battle, but science and reason reveal what likely happened when kings collided. Megalodon was raw power incarnate. It struck from below, targeting the soft, vulnerable parts of its prey with lightning speed. Its body was designed for ambush, capable of tearing a fin or crushing a torso in seconds. But Leviathan was different. It didn't act on impulse, it waited, watched, and calculated. And when it attacked, there was no escape. While the Megalodon hunted alone, the Leviathan may have hunted in packs. Through communication and echolocation, it could coordinate strikes with terrifying precision. Intelligence against instinct. One a relentless weapon of nature, the other a strategist cloaked in muscle and bone. If these two monsters ever met, the result would have been a symphony of chaos and blood. The difference, however, ran deeper than flesh. Megalodon was a fish, ancient, powerful, yet limited. Leviathan was a mammal with a brain capable of learning, reasoning, adapting. The shark's brute force was overwhelming, but Leviathan's intellect made it nearly unstoppable. It was the same eternal truth that would later define all life: the mind conquers the muscle. In the end, the ocean became their silent battlefield. A vast kingdom that neither wanted to risk losing in a fatal duel. So they avoided each other, circling through the same waters, feeding on the same prey, each aware of the other's presence and the cost of conflict. Two monsters, one throne, and a sea that still echoes their roars through the memory of the earth. The Miocene Ocean was a kingdom without borders, and Leviathan melvillei was its silent emperor. Its reign wasn't marked by roars, but by the quiet fear that spread before it struck. Every creature seemed to understand its place in that ancient hierarchy. And at the very top, above all life beneath the waves, ruled Leviathan, a monarch crowned by darkness and silence. Its secret weapon was something few predators ever possessed: echolocation. With a specialized organ inside its massive head, it could emit and detect sound waves across miles of ocean. Those echoes returned as a living map, painting every movement in the dark. No prey could hide. No obstacle could surprise it. For Leviathan, the sea wasn't a mystery, it was an extension of its own body. Its design was perfection. Each dive recalibrated the density of its body through the waxy oil in its skull, allowing total control of buoyancy. It could sink more than 2 kilometers into the darkness and remain still for hours. While others wasted energy, Leviathan waited, patient, efficient, deadly. It didn't hunt for hunger alone, it hunted with purpose. During mating season, males turned the ocean into an arena. They used their heads like biological battering rams, crashing into one another in violent duels. Even today, fossilized skulls bear the scars of those ancient wars. These weren't just fights for females, they were displays of dominance, reminders of power. In those depths, violence was a ritual, and Leviathan mastered it with instinct and pride. Yet what truly made it unstoppable was collective intelligence. Like modern sperm whales, Leviathans formed pods, organized groups with hierarchy and cooperation. They spoke through deep, resonant calls that echoed across the abyss. They hunted together, defended their young, and divided hunting grounds with uncanny order. They weren't just beasts, they were strategists of a forgotten world. For millions of years, the bloodline of Leviathan perfected the art of survival. It ruled the Miocene seas with both savagery and awareness, blending instinct and intellect. But nature, ever patient and cruel, always reclaims its balance. The same ocean that birthed the king would one day turn against him. And for Leviathan, the price of greatness would be extinction. For millions of years, Leviathan ruled the seas with unquestioned authority. Nothing seemed capable of challenging its reign, not even Megalodon, not even time itself. But nature has a cruel way of reclaiming its balance. The cycle had already begun, silent, invisible, unstoppable. The ocean that once crowned its king was about to become his grave. The planet began to cool. Currents shifted, climates changed, and the ocean started to empty. The great baleen whales, Leviathan's main source of food, began to vanish. Plankton, the foundation of marine life, collapsed. And without it, the seas turned into liquid deserts. For a creature of such size, this was a death sentence. Its massive body demanded tons of meat and fat to survive. Each hunt required enormous energy, each dive consumed precious strength. When prey grew scarce, even the king felt hunger. Its power, once its glory, became its curse. As the seas grew colder, Leviathan was forced to dive deeper, to hunt longer. But down there, prey was smaller, rarer, and faster. Its size, once a blessing, now slowed it, trapping it in its own magnificence. The males weakened, calves starved, pods broke apart. Extinction crept in, not through violence but through silence. The Miocene Ocean became a vast tomb. The sound of jaws fell quiet, the echoes of echolocation ceased. The perfect predator, crafted by evolution to dominate, could not outlast the planet's shift. Extinction didn't strike in an instant, it whispered, slowly, over millennia. The throne of Leviathan sank into the frozen dark, and then the sea swallowed him whole. His bones settled under sand and solitude for millions of years. But even buried, Leviathan never truly vanished. Because every time the ocean stirs, It feels as if something ancient still moves beneath. The king may have fallen, but his legend still breathes in the heart of the deep. Even after extinction, the name Leviathan never disappeared. It survived in sacred texts, in sailors' whispers, and in humanity's oldest fears. They called it the divine monster, the serpent of the abyss. A shadow god himself kept chained beneath the waves. When science unearthed its bones, it only confirmed what myth had already known. That fear sometimes has a face and teeth. In laboratories, Leviathan is studied as an ancient sperm whale. But outside those walls, it has become something greater, a symbol of untamed power. Between faith and fossil, between Bible and bone, its name gained new meaning. It isn't just an extinct creature. It's a living memory of nature's wrath, and proof that the unknown was never truly gone. Its colossal teeth now rest in museums, displayed under cold light. Yet those who stand before them often feel something science can't explain. A shiver, a presence, a silence that seems to breathe. It's as if Leviathan still watches us, waiting, patient, from the deep. Waiting for the return of ancient waters or for the awakening of giants. Over time, Leviathan became more than an animal, it became an archetype. A representation of chaos, of divine power, of the boundary between the visible and the sacred. The oceans may have changed, but fear remains the same. Because what Leviathan truly symbolizes isn't beneath the sea, it's within us. That instinct that senses danger in still water. That part of us that recognizes the predator, even when it no longer exists. And as humanity builds ships, machines, and submarines to conquer the depths, perhaps Leviathan still waits there, sleeping, ancient, eternal. And when the lights of man pierce too far into the abyss, maybe something old awakens just for a moment. Long enough to remind us that the ocean has never truly belonged to us. Leviathan may have vanished, but its shadow still swims among us. Every time the sea swallows a ship, its name is whispered again. Not as myth but as memory. A reminder of a power that never truly died. In the deepest trenches of the ocean, strange sounds echo through the dark. Rumbles recorded by submarines, roars that seem to come from miles below. Some scientists call them tectonic shifts. Others refuse to speak at all. Movies, books, and legends keep giving shape to the monster. But it isn't art that keeps it alive, it's fear. Because Leviathan doesn't need to exist to be real. All it takes is a man staring into the sea, and feeling that something, somewhere, is staring back. Perhaps it never left. Perhaps it simply sank deeper beyond light, beyond time, beyond reach. Where gods no longer look, and the world forgets to breathe. There, in the heart of eternal darkness, Leviathan still waits. Leviathan was never just flesh and bone. It was an idea, a warning, a mirror of the power humanity tries to control and secretly fears. Today, our oceans are no longer made only of water. They're oceans of technology, of ambition, of silence. And within them, new monsters are sleeping. Each era gives birth to its own Leviathan. A symbol of what grows too large, too powerful, until it turns against its creator. And the most terrifying truth is that this time, the monster might be us. Nature dethroned the first king once. Now it watches, patient, waiting to see who falls next. Because the sea remembers. And giants always return. Leviathan may have vanished millions of years ago. But the silence of the ocean still carries the rhythm of its breath. Every wave that breaks is an echo of its presence. And every dive into the deep is not just a search for a creature. It's a descent into our own fear. The real mystery was never the monster itself. It's what it awakens inside us. The fascination with the unknown, the reverence for nature's power, and the reminder that there are forces humanity should never underestimate. Leviathan sleeps, but the ocean never does. If you've made it this far, you've already heard the call of the abyss. So tell me in the comments, do you believe Leviathan truly vanished? Or does something ancient still watch us from the depths? Leave a like, subscribe to Cloaked Mysteries, and remember, the truth is always found in the deep.